Well, today's video is sponsored by Keen Garlic. We want to thank the good folks over at Keen Garlic for your generous donation of all the garlic we're using in our video today. Thanks for sponsoring our channel. Well, welcome back, friends. Today we're going to try to grow some garlic in Florida again. If y'all remember, I think it was about a year ago, we tried to grow some soft neck garlic down here in Florida and we failed miserably. Just very disappointed, very discouraged. So I was talking to the folks over at King Garlic and they said, hey, let us send you some samples of some garlic that we feel will do well in that warm climate that you have down there in Florida. We've had some success with it with some of our other customers, and I think you'll find that these varieties will work for you. And I said, awesome. So they sent me 6 different varieties. They sent me 3 varieties of soft neck garlic, and they also sent me 3 more varieties of hard neck garlic. And I was actually surprised that, you know, they sent me some hard neck garlic, that hard neck garlic would even grow down here in this hot, humid temperature. But they're telling me that they've had some success with it. So I said, really, that is really good, because I really like both. So anyway, the great people over at Keen, they got a great website. If you want to go check it out, they got all kinds of information on there about growing garlic, all different varieties that you can order, and they're very helpful. When you order an order from them and you get some garlic, you'll get these planting instructions that come in your package that's just full of good information that will help you be successful in growing your garden. And of course, if you have any questions or anything that's confusing you need cleared up, give them a call or email them, you know, on their website, because these people are really good people to work with. I think you'll be really happy to work with Keen Garlic on trying to grow some Keen garlic in your garden this fall. So anyway, we got the 3 varieties, and I'm going to give it another shot this year, and we're going to watch these 6 varieties all the way through until we harvest it. And I've made some little name tags, you know, for each of these varieties. I usually save my paint sticks whenever I buy paint, and I write the name of the garlic on here, the variety that I'm growing, and I'll spray this with a clear enamel to kind of waterproof it somewhat. Because remember, this garlic's going to take 6 or 7 months to grow, and if you have multiple varieties like I do, you're going to want to make sure that you keep track of which one is which, because once you settle on the one that you really like and you favor, that works well in your garden, then you're going to want to keep ordering that, you know, year after year, and maybe branch out and get something different and try it every other year or so. But you know, basically this is how I'm going to keep track of it. There's some items that we're going to need. You know, today we're going to be using bone meal. We're going to use bone meal in the garden area and the bed to promote a lot of phosphorus. That's going to promote root growth. So we're going to line the bottom of the bed with this. Then I'm going to also add in black cow manure, and I'll cultivate that in and incorporate that bone meal with that black cow with the existing soil that's in there, and we'll get that all incorporated together. Okay. Another item you're going to need is some hydrogen peroxide, some liquid seaweed, and some baking soda. And that's for our soak, our pre-soak before we plant them. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take a gallon of water, which I have here. And the first thing I'm going to do is add in 2 tablespoons of the liquid seaweed right into that gallon of water. 1, 2. Okay. Next thing is I need 1 1 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Right in there, and give it a little bit extra since I spilled some. There we go. Baking soda. Then I'll take that and I kind of stir that around, mix that up. Okay, and we'll set that aside. The next thing I want to do is get out 6 containers, because I have 6 different varieties, so I don't want to mix them up. So I got my 6 containers, and this one is going to be my soft neck. This one is a soft neck. This is a soft neck. That one. Okay, I think I got it where I won't mix them up. Okay, all right, let's start off with the first one. And you do all of these the same way. You take the garlic, open it up, and you break all the cloves off of the bulb. And when you do, you're going to notice that you got some big ones and you got some little ones. And you got a root end and a pointy end, okay? So whenever you do plant this, you put the root end down and the pointy end up. And you want to cover the top of that with about 1 inch of soil, okay? So you can measure how deep this is, plus another inch. So now you see that your hole needs to be right at about 3 inches, okay? So what I do is I separate out the large cloves. This is pretty good. I usually separate the large ones from the small ones, and I'll plant all the large ones, because whatever size clove that you plant, that's what that new bulb is going to form around that. It's going to protect that center bulb, clove, and that's how big your garlic will be. So if your garlic is this big, then your clove will be that big. If it's real small, then your bulb will be real small. So always use the largest cloves that you have. Okay, and this is the kettle. Let's put those right in that bowl. Some beautiful. Okay, got them all broke apart. Now the next thing is I want to take these and I want to spray them with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. That's going to get rid of some of those bad old microorganisms that's bad on the garlic. So I hit it with the hydrogen peroxide, and we'll let that sit for about 15 minutes. So let me go ahead and get the rest of these cloves broke out and separated out and sprayed with the peroxide, and when we come back, we'll take it to the next step. I'll be right back. Okay, I got the hard part done, and that's breaking all the cloves apart. But anyway, we got them all done. Now the next step is I want to take our solution that we made earlier of the seaweed and the baking soda, and I want to add a little bit of that into each one of these. And I'm going to let this soak for about an hour, and you can soak longer if you need to. You can soak overnight. The King garlic said, sometimes they'll go 2 or 3 days on a soak. So really, there's no real rush once you got them soaking. I do have them into the solution. I'm going to let them be soaking up some of that liquid fertilizer. Okay, the next step is I'm going to go over here and get the garden prepped. I'm going to get that cow in there, and I'm going to get the phosphorus in there and get all that cultivated in. And when I get ready to plant, I'm going to use my template here because they're on 5-inch centers. And this is what I normally use for my onion sets. And so I'm going to put this into my perimeter box. It makes a dimple in the soil about 3/4 of an inch deep, so I see my patterns. That way I don't get my garlics too close together by using a 5-inch center. So that's how I do it. Center to center, 5 inches. The next step I do is I got a little piece of bamboo here. And remember earlier we were talking about you want to be about 1 inch above the clove. So if you take a clove and you see where that point is right there, I can see that I need to be right at about 1 inch. And that's what this line right here is. It's probably a little bit high. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. Let's bring that down just a little bit. So I don't want to get them too deep because then they end up starting to look like leeks. So I want these garlics to bulb out, of course. So this bottom ring right here is my mark. So when I get this soil dimpled, I'll take this bamboo, I'll stick it right down in there and I'll waller it out just a little bit. Then I can set the clove in and kind of push it down just a little bit. Then I'll be able to cover it over. The trick is you want to be approximately 1 inch above the tip of the clove. You know, it's not highly critical that it's exactly 1 inch. So if it's plus or minus, ½ an inch or so, it's good enough. So you're going to probably say, well, I got all different size cloves. Just get the average, and put the hole in and cover them with the soil at that level. Okay, so let me go get, this will take about 1 hour to soak for me. That's what I usually use. And in the meantime, I'm going to go over here and get all the bed prep done. And as soon as I get that done, these should be soaked long enough and we should be able to start putting them in the ground. So let's get to work. Well, we got the job done. 3 varieties of the hardneck and 3 varieties of the softneck installed in the garden, so we can watch this How to Grow Florida garlic experiment this year to see which one of these varieties really are going to work for me down here in Florida. This is November the 2nd, so these should be about ready to harvest around June of next year. It usually takes me 6 or 7 months to get them ready to harvest, but we'll follow along all the way until harvest on this video. I also want to once again thank Keen Garlic for the donation of the 6 different varieties of garlic that we're going to try in our experiment here. But most of all, I want to thank you for encouraging me not to give up on the garlic here in Florida. I have to admit, I was totally defeated last year when I tried to grow some softneck down here, and it was just an epic fail. It was terrible. I mean, you know, and I did actually give up. I was just not going to mess with it anymore. But I talked to y'all and you encouraged me. You sent me some varieties to try that have proven to be successful down here in Florida with some of your other customers, and I want to thank you for that. So you're good people to work with, and I appreciate it. So we'll be back in the days ahead. We'll watch the development of these garlic all the way up until harvest, and we'll keep an eye on it together. So we'll see you soon. Well, good morning, friends. It's only been 18 days since we started our Florida garlic experiment here. And I just wanted to walk you through the different varieties to show you, the progress that they've made in the first 18 days. This first one here is the Chesnik Red. It's a hardneck. As you can see, it's the majority of this little bed right here has emerged, and I'm getting some true leaves starting to come up. It's getting there. The next one is, and by the way, that is a hardneck. The next one is another hardneck, the Ivan. It's got a pretty good emergence. Nice true leaves. Looks like I've got 100% germination going on here. The next hardneck is the Romanian Red. Now the Romanian Red has not shown any sign of breaking the surface at all. And that doesn't mean it won't. It just, at 18 days, it hasn't yet. So will we remain hopeful? Keep our eye out on that Romanian Red. The next 3 are the softneck varieties. The first one's the Red Talk. Good emergence, plenty of true leaves, looking pretty healthy. Pretty pleased with that one. The next one, and I may not be pronouncing this correctly, Intillium Red. Great emergence, nice looking true leaves, and it looks like I've got 100% germination going on with this one as well. And the last one is the Kettle River, another softneck. It's doing pretty good. I've still got a few that have not emerged, but if I look real close down in there, I can see the very tip of that garlic starting to come through the surface. So it's another good germination rate with true leaves coming up, a little slower than the other 2 varieties of softneck, but it's coming along. So all in all, I think that our little experiment on our softneck and hardneck garlic here in Florida is making some progress. We'll be keeping our eyes on the rest of this in the days ahead as this continues to grow. And we'll be back shortly to give you another update. Looking good so far. See you soon. Well, welcome back, Homestead family. It's been 6.5 weeks since the last time we did an update with you on our stand of experimental garlic. It's looking really pretty good. If you look down the row, you can see that everything's off and running. The last time we looked at this together, it had only been emerged for 18 days, and so today makes 8 weeks that this has been planted in the ground. So in an 8-week period, it looks like it's done pretty well. I thought what we'd do is just walk down the row and take a look at each variety like we did last time, and just show you how much it's progressed in the last 6.5 weeks. This first one right here is the Chesnik Red hardneck variety. It has emerged. It's starting to get plenty of true leaves, but it looks like it's having a little bit of a hard time. I see some of the leaves are laying over. It might have been kind of a little bit too hot for a while there on some of it. It just wasn't really tolerating that, but it seems to be trying to make a comeback right now. As you can see, the leaves are now starting to stand back up and produce some new growth out of the middle. So let's just keep our eye on this one in the days ahead, and we should see this really start to pick up a little speed. The next one is the Ivan. It's another hardneck right here. It's done really well. It's got some pretty strong leaf structure. You can see that it's actually starting to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves tall now. So it's getting there. It's got some nice broad leaves on the plant, and it looks like it's doing very well. The next one is the Romanian Red hardneck. If you'll remember 6.5 weeks ago when we updated you, this one had not even emerged yet, had showed no signs of emergence. Since then, it has popped up. Looks like I got 100% germination on every one of them, and they're doing well. They've got up about 3 or 4 leaves now, so they're starting to get a little bit of traction, and I was really looking forward to that, because this one, when I looked at the raw garlic, this one looked to be my favorite variety. I was really hoping that one pulls through. Next one is the Red Talk right here. It's our a soft neck variety. It's doing pretty good. I've got some yellowing of the lower leaves. I'm a little concerned about that. That again could be from the heat that we went through, a lot of heat, and may have gotten a little bit too much water. We had a couple of 2 or 3 days there where we had some pretty heavy rain, so I'm watching the watering. I'm trying to keep that down to where it just keeps the soil just a little moist and not saturated, so maybe I can pull this on through. But besides that, the plant is looking pretty healthy and looks like it's starting to get some new leaves out of the top. So let's keep our eye on that one. The next one is the Intillium Red. It is another soft neck. Again, it's got a few yellowing of leaves on the bottom of the plant, but it looks like it's starting to pull out with some new ones as well, and some nice long, tall, strong leaves. So I'm hoping that the cooler temperatures ahead will help this garlic. The last one is the Kettle River. It's another soft neck variety. If you remember 6.5 weeks ago, this one had just barely started to break the surface. It had not put out any new growth yet at that time, but now it's up and running. It's got about 4 new leaves on each one. Got some pretty good broad leaves, a slight bit of yellowing on the lower couple of leaves, but that could just be normal. Again, the cooler temperatures are ahead of us, so that's what we're looking forward to. So that's our stand of garlic at the 8-week point. Now, this Saturday will be January 1st, so we've got our what we call winter here in Florida. We have about 10 weeks ahead of us of our chilly temperatures. So during that 10 weeks, I think that this stand of garlic is going to improve. I think it's going to enjoy the cooler temperatures a little bit better and get a lot more structure on the plant. And then in the spring, it should, you know, just really explode. So we'll get back with you as this plant continues to grow, and we'll do some more updates along the way, you know, during the cool season, and we'll just take a look at how it's doing. So we'll be back soon. Well, welcome back, friends. Our garlic stand has been growing for 4 months today since we planted it. It made it through the winter. Here we are going into March now, and we had one hard freeze over the winter and about 5 frost. So it really wasn't that hard of a winter for them. They did just fine. You know, about a month ago, I came out here after the hard freeze, and they were kind of laying down a little bit, and there was some yellowing. But now the temperatures are starting to warm up a little bit, and they're starting to stand back up, and they're really starting to get some, show some life in them. So let's just walk down the row here and take a look at where our garlic are. Here's the Chesnik Red. They're doing really good. We still have a little bit of yellowing on the bottom leaves, but the rest of the plant structure looks pretty good, and I'm pretty well pleased with this, considering it's a hardneck garlic down here in Florida. But we still have the hot days ahead, so I got to really see if that heat is going to be a challenge on this hardneck. Here's the Ivan. It's another hardneck variety. It's looking pretty healthy. It's actually looking more healthy than the other three. It's pretty strong, got some good roots structure coming out from what I can see, because the stems are, you know, pretty big around. There's a little bit of yellowing on the leaves, but they look very healthy, and I think they're going to do just fine. Here's the Romanian Red. It's doing pretty good. It's made it through the winter, and we still have the challenge of the hot days of Florida ahead. But considering the way they look right now, I think that this may be a variety we'll be able to grow. There's a little bit of yellowing, and some of that is from the hard freeze, and some of it is just because, you know, it needs to be fertilized. So we'll keep our eye on this in the days ahead, because I really want to be able to grow some hardneck if I can just get through this heat that's coming up. Here's the red talk. It's a soft neck. This soft neck variety looks to be doing really well. It's coming out pretty strong here in the first few days of spring, and you know, this one should be a little bit more tolerant of the heat that's coming up. But looking at the way the plants look right now, they look like they're pretty promising. Here's the Intillium. The Intillium is looking really good. In fact, it looks like the Intillium Red looks like it may even be the strongest looking plant of the 3 varieties that I have of soft necks right now. It's coming on pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this does in the next couple of months. Here's the Kettle River. The Kettle River looks to be doing very well. Lots of good leaf and stem development. I'm just assuming that the bulbs are starting to expand out now. This one looks to be the weakest of the other 2 soft neck varieties, but it does look to be working, but it doesn't look quite as strong and healthy and vibrant as the other 2. So anyway, there's our 3 hard neck and our 3 soft neck. Well, now that spring has arrived here in Florida, these plants are now in need of a boost of fertilizer, and I want to step over here to the seed starting area and show you the fertilizers that we're going to be using on our garlic and how we mix them up. And what I'm going to be doing is fertilizing these with a liquid fertilizer every 14 days or so, and I will continue to do that throughout the life of these until I start to see the scapes appear. When the scapes appear, I'll discontinue using the fertilizer. But I think at this point, they are ready to start taking on some fertilizer and taking some of that up into the plant and down into the roots. So let's head over to the seed starting area on the planting table so I can show you these two products. Okay, it's time to get started on our fertilizer. This is what Keene Garlic recommended for fertilizing the garlic in the springtime. There's two components that go to this mix. One is called CX1. This is a biological concentrate, and the other one is a fertilizer, and this is a 307 fertilizer, nice and gentle, gives it just enough of that nitrogen to get it going. I don't want to give it too much nitrogen because I don't want to give it too much leaf growth when what I really want at this point is a lot of bulb growth. But this little bit of fertilizer that I'm giving it right now should really get the plant in an overall healthy condition to come out of the spring, coming out of winter and going into spring, and it should just explode. So what I do is I take 1 gallon of water, and whenever Nancy is not home, she had to go to the store today, she seems to volunteer to let me use some of her stuff. So I take her little flower pot that she's using. I dismantle the little sprinkler head on the top. I got a gallon of water in here, and what I add is 1 tablespoon of the concentrate, and 1 tablespoon of the fertilizer. This is a powder. Then I mix this together, and I just pour it right directly over the garlic. It says that what we should do is try to avoid getting it right on the leaves if it's in direct sunlight, but today's very overcast, so I felt pretty good about just going ahead and putting it right over the plant and just saturate the whole plant with this. And what I'll do is I'll continue to water this right down the line every 2 weeks until we see the scapes. Well, we got all the garlic fertilized. I'm running the irrigation on there now. I kind of want to rinse that fertilizer off of the leaves where I just poured it right on top of the leaves. That'll rinse it off the leaves, and it'll kind of work it on down into the soil where I really want it. So that's the regiment that I'm going to continue with for the next several weeks ahead. I'm going to continue to do this every 14 days. So we'll be back in the days ahead after these garlic have a little bit more time to start coming to life with this new warm weather that's coming in. So we'll see you soon. Well, welcome back, friends. Our little garlic experiment has been growing out here for 7 months today. So I thought what we would do today is go through the bed and pull up each variety and keep them separated. And let's take a look at the results of this little experiment. I've got my my little garden book y'all always see me working out of, and I've made some notes along the way, and I've made a little chart up in here. See if you can see this. So we'll take a look at what we got today, and we'll make some notes on here to determine which one of these varieties, or it may be, you know, one or more of them, that we could start using here in our Florida homestead. I have definitely learned a few lessons along the way this year on this experiment, and I want to incorporate them this fall. So let's go ahead and pull these up and let's see what kind of a result that we're getting. This first one here is the Chesnik Red. It's a hard neck. It looks like this one here has tolerated the heat just fine, and it's got some really good, the plant looks really good itself. Now I don't know what the bulbs have done underneath, but as far as the plant itself, it looks like it was able to take the heat really with no problem. It's just I need to adjust my planting schedule a little bit. This next one here, this is Ivan. This is another hardneck. It did not look like it fared well with the heat. It didn't grow as big as the rest. I don't think this is a good candidate for me here, but it doesn't mean that I won't try it again one day. But from this experiment, from what I'm learning on this experiment, it really didn't work out. The next one here is a Romanian Red. It's another hardneck. It had a beautiful bulb. It was actually my favorite bulb. I was really hoping for the best on this one, but it doesn't look like it was taken to this heat very well at all. And I've had a lot of them have already failed. It looks like it might be a struggle in my area. The next one's the Red Talk. It's a soft neck. It looks like it did pretty good. The plant itself is really healthy and is tolerating the heat. It's got some big stalks down there toward the bottom, so I'm really hoping that we get some nice bulbs out of it. It might be a good candidate for future planting. The next one is the Intillium Red. This is another soft neck. It looks like it did pretty good with the heat as well. I got some decent sized looking stalks on them, so this one might look like a good candidate, you know, for our Florida garden as well. And the last one here is the Kettle Red. It's another soft neck. It was about middle of the road on tolerating the heat. I've got some bulbs in there that did pretty good. It looks like I can see the big stalks on them. So hopefully this one may possibly be a candidate for the future. It's all going to now depend on you know, how good the bulbs look and adjusting my planting schedule, etc. But let's go ahead and get them up and let's take a look at the size of the bulbs and see what we got. What I'm using today is this potato rake. It's a long-handled potato rake. It makes the job a little easier for me with my back the way it is. If I just go underneath the bulbs and I can loosen them up like that instead of trying to pull them out by hand, and it keeps me from breaking them off too bad. Okay, we got our 6 varieties of garlic all set out. Here, right here is the hardnecks, the 3 varieties of hardnecks, and right here's the 3 varieties of softneck. So let's take a look at how we did, and let's see if we can come up with a decision on what we want to commit to for growing in our fall garden this year. I think we're on track now. Let's take a look at these up close. Okay, let me start with the hardnecks. This Chesnik Red right here, it performed the best out of the 3, the Chesnik Red, the Ivan, and the Romanian Red. The Chesnik Red started to develop bulbs, and it had a really good plant structure that was able to tolerate the heat. Really, it looked like with no problem. It was the best out of the 3 hardnecks. I think that this is a good candidate that we would like to go with for this fall and our garden, and we'll commit and a raised bed and space them out and give them plenty of room and do them correctly instead of an experimental type bed. We're going to go all the way. So I think that this will be a good one, a good candidate for us. The Ivan, if you take a look at it, it never really developed much of a bulb. It had a really hard time with the heat, and that could have been from my planting schedule. But this is the Ivan. As you can see, it really never really developed very well. And the Romanian Red, it had a real struggle with the heat. This is the Ivan, the Romanian Red right here, another hardneck. It really is, it was a total failure for me and the way I did it this year. But I don't think that these 2 would be a good candidate for me here in Florida. So I think we're going to stick with the Chesnik Red for this fall. Let's take a look at the softneck. Okay, here's our 3 varieties of the softneck. This is the Red Talk, the Kettle River, and the Intillium. The Red Talk definitely came out on top on this experiment. It's starting to develop a decent looking bulb, just a little bit young is all. And the plant itself was able to tolerate the heat down here. I don't really see it having any problems with the heat. So this is a good candidate for us out of the 3 that I would call Red Talk the best. The Kettle River looked like it could be a really good one for us down here as well. It's got a much bigger stalk on it, and the bulb was really getting there. But it was early in the year for it. But I think that this is another good candidate for Florida. We can try this another year, but I think this fall we want to go with the Red Talk. And here's the Intillium Red. It looked like it did pretty good as well. It was starting to bulb up a little bit. It tolerated the heat very well. All 3 of these varieties, I had no problem with heat. So I think it was all, the downfall was planting schedule and chill hours. So these are the results of the 6 varieties. And let's talk a little bit about the lessons learned on this experiment this year. Okay, here's my little book. The main lesson that I learned this year is that we simply just don't have enough chill hours down here in Florida to just go out and plant our garlic in the ground in the fall and let it winter over and hope for the best in the spring. I've learned this lesson the hard way, so what we're going to have to really do is pay attention to the cold stratification. It is absolutely required down here. There's no way I can get that. So what we're going to do this fall is I'm going to order my garlic in, and I'll place the garlic in the refrigerator for about 2 months prior to planting. And that should give me enough chill hours, then put it in December, and that way I'll go into the cooler months when I plant it instead of it still being so hot as it was this year when I planted. That's an important thing that a mistake that I made was I was trying so hard to avoid the heat in the spring. I was so worried about that rapid warm up in Florida that I get here that I was afraid that the garlic would just completely fail as soon as it hit March time frame. And that proved to not be the case here. These varieties tolerated the heat just fine. I think if I shift my planting schedule till December 1st, that'll give me approximately 70 days of cool temps after I plant them. But if you was to combine that 70 days with the 2 months of the cold stratification that I artificially introduced them to with the refrigerator, that should give me a greatly improved bulb development. That way I can keep them cold in October and November, then plant them in December, and it's starting to get cold here. January and February is cold, and by the time March gets here, these plants will be emerging and getting strong. And I think the varieties that I've looked at here have proven to be heat tolerant. So by doing this cold stratification, getting them in at a different planting schedule as of December 1st, by the time March gets here, they won't have any problem at all tolerating the heat. And I can let these things run on out until June or July, give me a good solid 7 months in the ground after they've been cold stratification. And I think that what we will end up with is really some successful harvest of garlic here. So it took me a couple of years to get to this point, so I'm not going to give up. I've looked at these are my varieties. I think that the Intillium Red and the Kettle River and the Red Talk are all fine for growing down here in the Florida heat. And these are all 3 soft necks. The one that I'm going to commit to this fall will be the Red Talk. I don't think I can do anything to improve my Romanian Red or the Ivan. They just couldn't take it. So I don't think those will work out for me. It may very well have been my own fault, but as far as based on this little experiment, these guys didn't work. But the Chesnik Red was a very good heat tolerant garlic, and it was doing a real good on the bulb development. I just need to change my planting schedule and introduce them to some cold stratification, and I'll use that as my fall planting. That'll be the one I commit to. So this fall we'll have a good solid row of Chesnik Red hardneck and a strong solid row of the Red Talk softneck. Well, there you go. Another lesson learned, and from a mistake, and we learn from our mistakes, which is what makes our thumbs green, right? Anytime I see somebody that's a real good gardener and he does really great, I look at that guy and I say, that guy's made a lot of mistakes in his garden. The reason for that is every time you make a mistake, you learn twice as much as you did if you had a successful harvest. So don't be letting a crop failure or something just doesn't work out one year, discourage you to the point where you quit. Actually, at that point, you should be taking notes, making some adjustments, and then try it again the next year, and just don't give up. So we'll be back in the fall. We're going to try our 2 varieties of hardneck and softneck. We'll get them in the ground and we'll follow that one, and I'm pretty much very, very confident that this fall and next spring that we will have a very good harvest of garlic, and I think we'll have the solution made for growing our Florida garlic here with the heat and our sandy soil. So I hope that our video helped you. I hope it brought a little smile to your face and maybe some peace to your day. So until me and Nancy see you in the fall when we try it again, always remember, by His hands we are fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.
Have a blessed day.